What's up, space nerds? It has been an incredible week for spaceflight. First and foremost, we finally got the first launch of New Glenn last night, and it was pretty amazing.
GS1 at flight level.
Many of us have been waiting many years for this moment, and it's finally here.
Big water start.
That's a big water command. There's a water deluge. Here we go, New Glenn.
It's time to do this. Let's light this candle.
Autopilot enabled. T-minus 10, 9, 8,
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go!
lift off.
All right! Yes! All right!
All 7 engines at full thrust. Chamber pressures are good. Vehicles cleared the tower.
Nice!
18 seconds into flight.
All right. I think everyone can agree we were very excited for this moment, but now that we have a little bit of post-launch clarity, we can examine what information we actually have about this.
Maneuver to point down range. Body rate responses are nominal. Chamber pressures continue to look good. Now 40 seconds into flight.
Shot.
Oh my God!
End of roll. Strakes are now level. Chamber
That's
pressures continue to
beautiful.
look good.
All right. We were definitely getting some beautiful views for the first couple minutes of launch, and seeing those beautiful mock diamonds was a sight to see.
Chamber pressures continue to look nominal. 1 minute into flight.
Having the velocity and altitude information in imperial units, in feet and miles per hour, was a little bit harder to follow than what we're a bit more used to with most rocket launches being in the metric system.
To space for the benefit of Earth.
Blue Origin's pretty secretive about, well, everything, so we don't know if the engines were at their full throttle or if they had scaled them down a little bit to collect data for this first launch. In any case, they finally got to max Q and were able to continue on until they had first stage engine cutoff and the separation of the upper stage, which happened successfully, and we even got a few brief views of the engine light of the second stage. Not sure what those pieces flying around are. My initial thought that might be pieces of ice, although looking at it closer now, it actually might be pieces of metal that were flying off from somewhere, which is never good. Again, so weird to see it in miles, but makes it easy for all of us ignorant Americans. Ooh, I do like this animation. Okay. The big moment of truth came when they attempted the engine relight of the first stage in order to have their atmospheric re-entry burn in order to slow down so that they would be on target for their landing. This was not the landing burn. This was just the slow down burn while they're in atmosphere. And we got a little bit of data saying that their velocity started to decrease a little bit before that data froze, and we only got to see a couple of shots of those engines relighting. Uh-oh. Everything's frozen. I am certainly not a rocket scientist, but it seemed like that was way too low to be doing the atmospheric re-entry burn. They should have done that way higher. Although then it would have changed their trajectory for trying to land on their Jacqueline drone ship.
8 minutes, 20 seconds into flight.
Man, maybe it's because I'm thrown off with this being in miles, but it just seems like the upper stage isn't gaining a whole ton of velocity.
Body rate responses look good. Chamber pressures look good throughout the burn.
And we're not getting. Following the second stage, I was a little bit worried about how, although they were gaining velocity, after a certain point, they started to lose altitude. And this tells me and other people who follow this sort of thing that these are very low thrust engines. Hopefully high efficiency, but low thrust nonetheless. I like how they have a little shadow for the upper stage. That's cool.
Less than 3 minutes now remaining in the GS2 burn.
I don't think the booster made it, guys. However, they did reach the target velocity of over 17,000 miles per hour in order to reach orbital velocity. And we didn't get to see it, but they did tweet out later on in the night that they did have an engine relight of the second stage in order to place it into a medium Earth orbit to test out their Blue Ring Pathfinder technologies.
And we have engine cut off.
What a day. ETR team down in Huntsville.
Aside from the initial stage separation and lighting of the upper stage engines, we did not get any other footage during their live stream of the upper stage. So hopefully there is more data that exists, hopefully more footage that exists that they might release to the public in a highlight reel. So please, 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 Blue Origin, please share that with us. Even if you don't share the hardcore data, please share us whatever footage you got. Regardless of the failure of the first stage to be able to land successfully on their drone ship in the Atlantic Ocean, this was still a successful launch. I mean, just being able to light their engines and clear the tower and take off from the pad is a success in and of itself. Being able to get past max Q, the most amount of aerodynamic pressure, is a success in and of itself. Being able to separate their stages, separate the second stage from the first stage, is a huge accomplishment. They've never been able to do that before. And being able to get all the way into orbit is a huge success. All the way into orbit on their first try with their massive, massive rocket. Congratulations, Blue Origin. This is no small feat. Although you might not have achieved all of the goals that you hoped for, this is still a huge accomplishment. And now that we've finally had this successful launch, of course, New Glenn number 2, when? When? I'm actually really curious about whether or not they're going to go right towards their Blue Moon lander tests of the Pathfinder of that vehicle, or if they're going to try to do any sort of Kuiper launches, or if they're going to try to do something else related to getting their certification for national security payloads. And I would hope that they would hopefully be ready in a couple of months to launch their next rocket, but we're going to have to see. They might have quite a few things that they have to redesign and redo some tooling before they feel confident in launching again. But what do you think? What do you think is going to be their next payload, and when do you think they might be able to launch that? Hopefully this year. Hopefully we don't have a huge delay. I'm honestly hoping it's just a couple of months that they're able to launch their second one, but what do you think? This is definitely a very exciting time for spaceflight. I am very excited for Blue Origin finally achieving orbit and very much looking forward to whatever they have planned next, and really rooting for them that they will be able to quickly deliver and be able to launch again for a second time soon. I mean, I'm really hoping that they launch more than twice this year. It'd be great if they could launch at least 4 times this year or more. Eventually, they want to be able to get to 8 launches per year before ramping up even more. But I have a feeling that after all the data they've collected on this first flight of theirs, that there's going to be a few things they're going to have to tweak and change and refine a bit before they're fully comfortable with doing more missions. We're rooting for you, Blue Origin. We're rooting for SpaceX too, and hope that everything goes well with Starship and that vehicle is able to reach orbit very soon as well. What do you think? Is that going to come on Flight 8 or maybe Flight 9? It's kind of been surprising to see the tests and the changes that they've made and refining everything that they possibly can before going all the way into orbit. So thank you very much for joining. Be sure to watch us this weekend on our live show as we are able to celebrate some of these awesome achievements in spaceflight this week. And until next time, don't forget to keep moving onwards and upwards and ad astra to the stars.